The next core concept of price action is an untested level. And this shouldn't be too difficult or rocket science-ish. An untested level is pretty much an important price area where the market hasn't yet returned to after breaking through it. Okay, and of course an untested level can be formed on the way down or on the way up, and on all sorts of markets it's universal. So it's not crypto specific, literally it works for pretty much everything. However, you need to understand, whenever I talk about returning to a level, that's pretty much, it needs to touch the level, it needs to tap the level, touch or tap the level, and that eventually results in an untested level becoming a tested level. Okay, that's very important to understand. Whenever we broke through a specific level, whether you gain levels and don't come back or lose levels and don't come back up, you need to understand that an untested level functions as a magnetic zone. Okay, the price is often drawn to it because of the amount of liquidity. Again, liquidity is fuel, and this is something that we will discuss in the upcoming chapters. These levels or zones are very interesting and create many trading opportunities. So this is the definition of an untested level. And again, if I want to visualize an untested level, and again, we can create untested levels on the way up. So for example, you need to understand, whenever we create levels, we go up, we go up, we go up, but we never really test levels back. Okay, that's something that you need to understand. Boom. So we break through a level. This is supposed to be an important level, but we never really touch this level. So this is what we can consider to be an untested level. Okay, I will just give this also a different a different color. So for example, when price just keeps on dumping, this is also what we can consider to be an untested level, because again, price never really touched or tapped the level. So whenever price happens to come here, then you can expect a potential reaction because of the amount of liquidity, the buy or the sell orders that is still resting over there. And this is obviously also vice versa. You can also create it on the way down. So how is it reflected, or how is it actually showcased? This is actually a beautiful example on Ethereum. So again, I need to make use of the replay tool. So again, here, what do we see? We see first of all, we see a beautiful pump, you know, a surge of price increase, a so-called, impulse move. But then again, what was initially supposed to be a resistance level, we broke through it. So now it functions as a potential support level. But then again, what happened? We broke through the level, but we didn't retest, we didn't touch or tap this particular level whenever the pullback came. Of course, the pullback will eventually come, of course, but whenever we touch it on the way down, then this untested level becomes a tested level. Let's just consider this to be an untested level. And then as soon as the price touches this level, this becomes a tested level. And usually around these levels, obviously, you can take potential trading setups. Maybe on the 1 hour, we can see a couple of more good examples. Let me have a look. Also here, this is a beautiful one. So we have created a particular level on the left. Okay, so just bear with me for a second. And even though we have already tested the level, of course, but again, in this case, if I am going to make use of the replay tool, you can clearly see that a level is being created. Okay, but then again, we break through this level without retesting, without touching, tapping the level. So whenever price eventually happens to go to this level, you can expect a certain reaction to occur. So what happens? You touch the level and then price slows down a little bit until you eventually go up. This level as well, when we broke through it, we didn't touch this level. This one, okay, barely, but you can kind of consider this to be a level that has been tested, to be very honest with you. So we broke through it, but we didn't touch this, or somewhat we touched it. To be very honest, this really is, you know, might not be the perfect example. Let's just make this out of it then. So again, this is a level where we break through it. Eventually we test the level The untested becomes a tested level, and from there we can take a potential trading setup. And this can also be seen on the 4-hour or even on the daily. This is a very beautiful example as well. As you can see here, this is a level that we created. We unfortunately break through this level without touching it on the way up. So whenever price touches this level, you can see that price slows down, and usually around these untested levels you can take potential trading setups, which can be beautifully translated. What is another good example? Can be more local even. For example, here, if we just get rid of, if we just get rid of this one is beautiful as well. So this was an untested level, you break through it, you retest it, the untested becomes a tested. Same thing over here. Eventually you break through it, you retest it, and this, whenever you tap or touch the level, that's where the untested becomes a tested level. This one, perfect example. Local level. Eventually, aggressively, you break through it. This level is tested whenever you touch this level. So whenever you identify these particular levels, you can most definitely translate this to potential trading setups, of course. This one as well hasn't been touched. Even though this might not be the perfect example, maybe I should actually do something like this. We created a particular level, eventually we broke through it. This is where we test the level. Same here, local level being created, we break through it, you retest it, and then from there you keep on going forward. Similar to this, you break through it, you retest it, and you get a potential trading setup. So now you probably get the feeling of an untested level. But then again, you should always take into account that even though you do spot nice trading setups, or nice untested levels, you can't just immediately take a random trade. Again, always, and refer to the previous video where I pretty much explained the top-down approach. Whenever you do an analysis on a 4-hour, you execute on the 50 minutes and lower, for example, okay? So this price area, 1-hour time frame, this is actually a very beautiful example of untested levels as well. Again, I don't want to spam you with 1 million different untested levels, so to say, but every single time, okay, all these levels that I pretty much draw out, these are all untested levels. Because again, just bear in mind, you can always form them on the way up or on the way down, but every single time when you break through levels, and you don't immediately retest it by touching or tapping the level, at some point of time, and then again, it's very difficult to measure or quantify or say like, hey, we need to wait for 1 hour and 20 minutes and then it's a good untested level. That doesn't necessarily matter, okay? Whether you have to wait hours, days, weeks, an untested level is just a very simple untested level. So in this case, we break through levels, you get a beautiful local, very small reaction, but then again, it can be potentially traded, you know, profited off. This, the lower one as well, by the way, you know, we broke through it, but we never really touched the level clean. Eventually, it becomes, you know, it gives a very beautiful reaction on top as well. Even though, of course, it's not immediately giving the perfect trade, you do need to understand as well that you should never really blindly trade these untested levels. And I would like to refer you guys to the previous chapter as well. Always take into account the so-called top-down approach. Whenever you do an analysis on the higher time frames, try to execute on the lower time frames and never try to catch a falling knife. Okay, this is the first time that you're actually hearing this sentence, catching a falling knife. What do I mean with this? So for example, hypothetically speaking, let's say we have these two untested levels. Of course, there are different ways of trading, but you need to understand, you should always focus on trading with confirmations. Okay, you need certain proof, you need certain evidence to be reflected, to be given by the market in order to take trades. And even though eventually in hindsight the move is given, hopefully you understand as well that taking a trade here, as in catching a falling knife without knowing whether we are just going insta down, dumping like hell, that there's a clear difference in taking a trade here, as in you take an impulse, the first touch of a level, or taking a trade here. Of course, when it comes to the actual price, it's both at 177, 178. it's not like a world of difference, so to say. But there's a clear difference, because here on the left circle, you're trading on the way down, you're catching a falling knife, and you're just hoping the price pumps. But here on the right circle, by waiting for certain price action, and hopefully you can see the clear difference. The left one, you didn't have any evidence, any proof. On the right one, we see a very clear and clean, reversal being created, because you're gaining after having touched a very important level. And this is always the better trade, the better trading setup to take. So as well, on top, eventually price goes up a little bit, it goes down a little bit, but then again, instead of just catching this, so to say, this pump, without knowing whether you can just do simply something like this, okay? We obviously want to wait for certain confirmations, take into account the top-down approach, higher time frame analysis, and we are waiting for specific levels to be lost. And then eventually, what do we get here? As you can see here, this is a so-called level, actually, that we eventually lose. We retest it, and this would be your so-called confirmation setup, as in taking a potential short. So that's just something that you need to take into account. Always try to collect multiple puzzle pieces, but also apply them to make the better decisions.